everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in March. I highly recommend all of these books, and these books are in no particular order. At the end of March, my total books that I've read so far in 2023 has been 49. Specifically in March I read 15, so I'm not going to talk about all of the books that I read in March. One of the reasons is because I did not enjoy all of the books I read in March, and I want to enjoy making videos, and if I talk about books that I don't enjoy, I feel that I won't enjoy making videos. If you want to know all of the books I read in March, you can check out my shorts on YouTube. There's a little video there. It's less than 1 minute long. You can also check out my reviews on Goodreads, and there's a link in the description for that. I just want to put a little disclaimer here that just because I did not talk about the book here, that does not mean that I did not like the book. I would also love to hear about some of the books you've been reading, so make sure to comment those down below. The first book I'm going to talk about is Joni by Joni Eareckson Tada. At the age of 17, Joni had a diving incident because she misjudged the shallowness of the water, and because of that, she became a quadriplegic and now has to live every day in a wheelchair. In this book, Joni talks about her feelings of what she felt when she was still in the water, to diving into the water, to being in the hospital, to rehab, to coming home and having to adjust to this new life. She shares about her struggles and how this ultimately led to her to have a deeper relationship with God. She also talks about how she can bring hope to other people who are facing disabilities and trials of life. I believe that this is such a powerful story and can bring a lot of encouragement to those who are facing trials and hard things in their life from someone who has experienced a lot of hardship. This book is the 45th anniversary edition. It was published in 2021, and it was really neat to hear a new perspective from Joni and hear some more ways that she has used her pain to glorify God through this. I also read this book for the Intentional by Grace reading challenge for my March prompt, and the March prompt was about a female missionary. Emma and the Reasons by Natasha Metzler. Emma and her friends, Sherry and Takana, all have their own reasons for being single. Throughout their life experiences, they feel that God has called them to singleness. Their married friends have even given them the nickname, the Reasons. Specifically with this story, Emma has two men that enter her life, and she is unsure of which one she should choose, or if she should even choose any of them, because she feels she has been called to singleness, but now she is unsure. With Sherry and Takana, they have to work through that maybe God has called them to be single, but not for the rest of their lives. Emma is also a social worker, so that plays a role in the story as well. I thought this book had a really good theme of idols, not making singleness or anything else in your life an idol. These girls were so focused on being single that when men entered their life, they didn't want anything to do with them because they said they were going to stay single. I think Natasha Metzler did an extremely good job of not making anything in your life an idol, even if you feel that it is something God has called you to. Just be willing to trust God and see what the next step is that He moves you to, even if He already had you doing something that you know He called you to. This next step, He could also call you to it as well, and you just have to be willing to follow God's leading. And the most important thing you can do is pray so that you know you are in the center of God's will and are following His leading. There's also a prequel to this book. It is called The Marrieds and Their Reasons. I read it after the second book, which I'm just going to talk about next. I think it would be best if you read it before you start the series, but regardless, I enjoyed the book. The second book in the series is Love, Paris, and it's basically a continuation of the first book, and I don't really want to talk about what happens in it that much because I don't want to spoil anything. The first book does a great job of setting up this story, and there is so much that is packed into this entire series. I honestly thought it was just going to be a light read with some romance involved, but both books deal with challenges and mistakes that the characters need to work through. Some themes that Natasha Metzler did a great job of bringing into the story are redemption, forgiveness, and God's faithfulness. This series is definitely going to be a favorite of the year. The Birds Persist to Sing, Poems on Pain, Heartbreak, Faith, and Healing by Lauren Medina. Lauren Medina writes in many different ways and how you can still have hope in the Lord through pain and struggles. These poems are very raw and vulnerable, and something I really loved about them is that they didn't always end the way you wanted them to. And sometimes life is like that, not always going the way we want it to or ending the way we want it to, and that's okay. I just want to share a poem from the book called You Can Be Both. You can be both, hopeful and afflicted, prayerful and despairing, holding on and trying to let go. You can be both, moving forward, looking back, a woman and a pillar of salt, Dreaming and mourning the loss of a dream. You can be both. Lamenting and laughing. Planning and waiting. Deep longing and profound gratitude. You can be both. Brave and terrified, beautiful and broken, beaten down yet persisting. You can be both. Mind and matter and equal parts. Stars and a night sky, rain and a flower blooming, tears of sorrow and tears of joy, aching empty over the loss, and yet with a heart that is still full somehow. You can be both. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Ernst Albright has come home from the Vietnam War and now is a volatile man. He has decided that he will now move his family to Alaska. His wife Cora will do anything for him because she is madly and deeply in love with him, regardless of how abusive he is to her. Lenny is 13 and she hopes this will be the place that she can finally fit in. When they first get to Alaska, everything is going great. Ernst's nightmares have disappeared and he is beginning to feel like himself again. But then winter sets in and he is worse than he was before when they moved to Alaska. In Alaska, there are many threats, but no threat is greater to Cora and Lenny than the threat that is living right inside their home. They realize they are on their own and there is no one to save them but themselves. But they have to be willing to make the decision to save themselves. I thought this was very powerful and emotional, and the characters persevered through what they thought would be impossible. Projekt 1065 by Alan Gratz. Michael used to live in Ireland, and now him and his parents live in Nazi Germany. He is a member of the Hitler Youth like many other boys in his class, but what everyone does not know is that Michael and his parents are spies. Michael despises everything about the Hitler Youth and what they stand for, but he joins the Hitler Youth so he can gain insider knowledge. One day, a boy in Michael's class shows him blueprints for Projekt 1065, a secret war mission. Michael realizes he needs to become friends with Fritz, even though he doesn't want to be, so he can get these blueprints, and the only way to become friends with Fritz is to dive deeper into the Hitler Youth and risk everything he cares about. I really enjoyed this book. I found myself engaged, and it's a young adult or middle grade book, so there were a few parts that I found unrealistic, but regardless of that, I still enjoyed the story. If You Tell by Gregg Olsen. This book is about three sisters, Nikki, Tori, and Sammy, who all had to endure years of abuse from their mother, Shelley. On the outside, Shelley is loving and kind, but on the inside, behind closed doors, she is controlling and abusive. She not only abuses her kids, but her nephew and two other friends. She also manipulated her husband and her kids into performing acts of abuse on other people. I thought this was a well-written story and I was engaged for the whole story, even though it was a very heartbreaking book to read. I also read this book for the BuzzWordathon by Books and Lala for March, and the prompt for March was secret in the title. And the whole title of this book is If You Tell, a True Story of Murder, Family Secrets, and the Unbreakable Bond of Sisterhood. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure to comment some of your recent reads down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any future videos I post. Also, feel free to like and share this with anyone you think might enjoy. Thanks for watching!